now when we can have, summer interns come up and they are every race, creed, color, gender, but they can see someone that looks like them on the bench. I think that is so beneficial because it's representation. And when they look at me, young kids, law students, whoever it is, I want them to say, if she can do it, I can do it too. I didn't see a female in my hometown that was an attorney until I was in law school, and went back to intern, and certainly not a person of color. And so now when we can have, summer interns come up and they are every race, creed, color, gender, but they can see someone that looks like them on the bench. I think that is so beneficial because it's representation. And when they look at me, young kids, law students, whoever it is, I want them to say, if she can do it, I can do it too.
We're up, we're up, we're up, we're up.
Karmelo, do you have anything that you'd like to say? Anything that you'd like to say to the victim, to the family of the victim? Why were you armed, sweetheart? Karmelo, why were you armed at school? Explain your self-defense. How is this self-defense?
Excuse me.
No, you like to say.
So is she a woke judge or not? Something you may or may not know. She is a Republican, apparently. Judge Angela Tucker is Republican and was elected to her seat. She was initially appointed to the 199th District Court in Collin County, Texas by Republican Governor Rick Perry, June 29, 2012. She's been there for a long time. After winning the Republican primary with 56% of the vote, Tucker has since been elected and re-elected by voters, most recently winning the general election on November 5th, 2024, with her term set to end December 31st, 2028. I saw comments, people saying, well, maybe she's a rhino. I think the video is a bit concerning. It is, the video that I played in the beginning. You guys comment down below. Maybe it's not. I think this plays into the benefit of Karmelo Anthony. Now, this is the same information being reiterated here. Graduate of UT Austin Dedman School of Law, SMU, licensed for 23 years and has spent her entire legal career in Collin County, handling cases in the 3 areas of law heard by her court: criminal, family, and civil. So the same thing here as well. I went and checked it out, some other websites backing up her being a Republican judge. And also, if you go to the county website, Collin County website, you can see her and the information and experience here. Now, there was an interesting post that was made, and this is from Minister Dominic Alexander. This is the guy, I think, standing right here next to him. We've seen him. Represents the NGAN network, I guess. And under here is Donut Operator. Donut Operator, he has like a huge YouTube channel, I think, right? And he made this post, and these are some of the rumors I had heard allegedly about this guy. And it's interesting. Let me just read this. Alexander was first arrested in July 2009 for causing serious bodily injury to a child. Oh boy. Police reported he'd been babysitting his girlfriend's 2-year-old son for the evening when he called her at 11 p.m. and told her to get home now. But he didn't tell her why. When she arrived, she found her child unresponsive. Alexander told his girlfriend that he'd been watching a movie with her son on the couch. He paused the movie, police reported, and as he walked in to the computer room, he heard the sound of her son, who was asleep on the couch, fall off the couch and onto the carpet. But the doctor disagreed with his statement. He examined Alexander's girlfriend's son in the intensive care unit and reported that the child had subdural hemorrhage between the halves of his brain and at the back of his brain. He also had retinal hemorrhages in both of his eyes. That guy, however, he's not on trial, but I guess people are digging and looking. Now, this comment was under Cinema's tweet, and I'm just mentioning because this is something I heard as well. Someone shared a mugshot of Austin's father for previously being arrested for SA, as if it justifies his son being killed, or exonerates Dominic Alexander for being a baby beater, allegedly. So, you know, the waters get murky and we get further and further away. But I heard the same thing about that situation, you know. Now, Anthony Brian Logan he had some comments to make. And so he's taken the side of, he believes self-defense. Anthony Brian Logan is a conservative on YouTube, respectful channel, said, don't put your hands on someone if they're not bothering you. The comments about Karmelo being some sort of thug from a single parent household are aging like milk. And basically he's referencing what we talked about earlier today and the court hearing that he worked 2 jobs. And well, I'll just play a snippet of this.
A yellow inmate jumpsuit. He spoke only to identify himself to the judge and stared straight forward while his father, Andrew Anthony, testified about how his son is the oldest of 4 siblings, a straight-A student, active in his church, and worked 2 jobs while serving as captain of the football and track team.
Okay. And so the comment section is pretty interesting. I guess, people didn't expect him to have this thought and feeling, but that's his opinion. The Kyle Rittenhouse thing has come up a lot, and people disagree. Kyle Rittenhouse, a white guy who killed 2 people and wounded a third, one of them 5-time convicted PDF file. The young boy spent 3 months in jail and was released on $2 million bond. The Kyle Rittenhouse case was much more severe, as he shot and killed multiple people with a rifle, yet he still beat the case. So what do we think will happen here? The one thing I did see about ABL post that's like, this is again with the wrong information that's going out with people. Anthony replied here and said, so you get to punch people in the face and then dictate how they fight back. He didn't get punched in the face. I mean, that wasn't reported anywhere. We covered it here in the channel because Quanell X had made those claims. I don't know if that's where Anthony's getting it from. There wasn't a punch involved. Now, you could argue, if you want to argue that Metcalf put his hands on Karmelo, you could argue that to try to get him to leave. But you can't sit here and say he was punched. And then this is one of those tough things too about escalation, de-escalation, and being punched, and how do you handle if somebody were to punch you. Another thing that's been a point of controversy is the donations. It's over $400,000. And what came up yesterday, because the prosecution had asked at some point, why weren't you able to just bond them out before? You guys raised all this money. And the family argued that the fund is for his legal defense and to pay for them to relocate and hire security. So a lot of people were talking about that they're going to take the money and buy a house or whatever with the donations. The prosecution asked the father why he could not just use the $450,000 or 15 to pay his son's original $1 million bond, given it had been reduced to $250,000. So the revelation about how the family intends to spend the cash comes after the spokesperson said they can't leave their home after the address was leaked online, and they're getting a bunch of racist comments. The only thing about that is that these people will probably find where you go to a new location. I don't know, you're going to spend all this money, get a new place, and then it's probably going to come out anyway, And some final thoughts. The reason I bring up the judge and her affiliation out, and the reason I bring up Anthony Brian Logan, is just because they have some type of political party affiliation doesn't mean that they're going to agree with you. And so we don't know the stance of the judge's personal opinion. We do see those videos, though, which I think is interesting and a little bit telling, whether you agree or disagree or think it means nothing. But as you see Anthony Brian Logan, conservative dude, and he feels that this is self-defense. And so just based off of those videos, I think this judge probably aligns more, even though she's supposed to be impartial and not judge, or I don't know, she is a judge. It's called judge judging. I don't know. Right. And at the end of the day, it's going to be a jury, but it's going to be interesting for them and to see how this case goes. And at the end of the day, like I've said multiple times, Karmelo gets to defend himself. He gets to tell the story. Metcalf doesn't. Karmelo, now he's free on bond, gets to spend time with his family. They get to figure this out. And it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Take care, guys. Peace.